Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I DIY'd this faux tree using a limb from our backyard and some faux leaves from the craft store. And if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you head over there and give me a follow at Valerie Aguiar. I share a lot of behind the scenes, home inspo, and fun stuff there. So if you guys have been here for a while, you would know that I DIY'd this tree right before the holidays, and it was kind of more of a winter tree, hence the sparseness of it. So I actually thrifted that big black pot from a thrift store, and we are just taking out our old tree and bringing in our new limbs that we cut. It was also very rainy that day, so that's why I'm wearing that big jacket in the house. But we brought this big limb in, and oh my gosh, I really underestimated the size of that. It was so big. These are actually birch limbs from a birch tree that we have outside. We actually have a lot of them outside. I may have underestimated the size of this branch. So we have really tall ceilings in our living room. I think they are either 12 or 14 feet. So I wanted something to fill that tall corner right there, and I wanted it to go almost all the way up to the ceiling. So that's why I kind of needed the height, but I brought in a little bit too much, so we did take a little bit more off of the trunk. And once I adjusted for the height and we kind of figured out exactly where we wanted, I could go in and take off a lot of that excess that we didn't really need. However, be careful, don't take off too much. You want to have more and be able to take it off later than take too much off in the beginning, if you know what I mean. So I just took an old bucket, or you can even take like a little planter pot or something that will hold the limb, and I just mixed up some cement really quick and put my limb in. I actually ended up doing a third one just to add a little bit extra in there. And once I got all of the limbs in there, I kind of adjusted them and like moved around all of the little branches and kind of maneuvered them in a way where they could kind of keep each other up. And then I used the chairs to hold everything up and kind of support it. This was quick dry cement, so it only took, I don't know, like an hour and a half to dry. It was really fast. I also got some zip ties and zip tied some of the branches together just to support them while they dried. So there's a couple different ways that you can attach faux leaves and branches to your tree. So I'm going to show you guys both ways. So this was a tree that I picked up from the thrift store. I know it needed a lot of cleaning, but my plan was to use these leaves on my tree. However, once I got it home, I just wasn't that impressed with the quality of the leaves, and they were fading. So got the tree. I got it. What I ended up doing was going to Hobby Lobby and checking out their faux leaves, and I really liked the selection that they had. This fern looking tropical style plant, I don't know what it was, but it was so pretty. But in the end, I ended up going with the ficus leaves, and I really liked the color variation of these, and I thought the quality was good, and it was 50% off, making them $2.50 a stem. So I picked up 12 stems. They also had those, which were $2.99, a little bit cheaper, but I thought that those were a little bit less real looking than the ones that I got. So I ended up paying $2.50 per stem, and I bought 18 stems. I also found this pot at Hobby Lobby. I thought it was so adorable. Run, you guys. They just got them in, and these little wooden bowls in the spring section. I'm in love. Okay, so I'm going to show you the technique that I used for my tree, and I used both of these ways on my tree. So when you take this little stem off, it pulls right off, and there's like a hollow little hole in there. So I went through all of my stems and pulled those off just like that and put them in a pile and left them off to the side. However, I didn't take all of them off. I did leave a couple on like the end or the top, and then I cut towards the bottom and left a little bit of the wire, because these have wire inside. So whatever stems you use, you want to try to get the ones with wire inside. So I'm going to show you guys how to strip this little rubber off of the wire. You can use like wire cutters. I just used scissors. It works pretty much the same. So you're just gonna like twist until you can feel that you like hit the wire, and then you're gonna pull it like sideways and pull that little rubber part off. It takes a little bit of elbow grease or elbow strength, whatever that is. But once you get it off, and the wire doesn't have to be very long either. This one was super long, but they just have to be a little bit short, and you want to expose that wire because that's what you're going to be putting in the trunk of your tree. So I put those wired ones aside, and I have a little stack of those, but then I used all of the little leaves that I pulled off prior to that, and I took my hot glue gun, and my limb or trees had these little kind of knobby things hanging off, and you could really like push them and pull them and they were not going anywhere. So I felt pretty confident to just pop on the little leaves, those little hollow holes, and pop them on just like that. And with the hot glue, they were not going anywhere unless you break a stick off. But my tree was already set in the corner. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to be touched. So this is what worked really well for me. I probably did like 80 to 85% of my tree just like this. So before I made the tree, I did a lot of research on a ficus tree. I looked up a lot of pictures and looked at how the leaves lay, and I just wanted it to look as natural as possible. So I highly recommend doing that. So whatever tree you want to make, it will look as real as possible. Another little tip I did is I tried to end a lot of my little branches with a stem. So I tried not to leave like blunt cut ends or like broken branches. I tried to end everything with a leaf, if that makes sense. So you didn't really see the end of the branch because most of them should have been covered with leaves. This is a little progress shot. It took me about a day and a half to 2 days, and not like full days or anything. It was like I would work on it for a couple hours and then take a break and then work on it again. And this is all kind of based on, you know, what you think looks good and what you like, whatever type of tree you want to make. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do these trees. You can make them really, really full or also very sparse. The girl who I got this idea from, I will leave her Instagram handle below. It was My Painting Pants on Instagram, and hers was really, really sparse, but it was beautiful. So I have to give credit where credit is due. This was her idea, and it is so good. I'm so happy that I tried this. So I'm gonna show you guys how I filled in those bare spots using the wire branches that we had cut previously. So I am kind of just fitting this in exactly where I want it and taking my tiniest drill bit and drilling a little tiny hole in there. Also be careful not to drill all the way through your trunk, but it's not a big deal if you do. Then I am taking that stem with the wire poking out that I showed you guys earlier. We're gonna take that wire and fit it into that little hole. Just to get it in there really good and make sure that it stays in there, I'm gonna add a little dab of hot glue on there and then put it right into that little hole that we drilled. And you guys, we cannot even like tell a difference that these are like fake branches. I had to put some fishing line in there too to kind of hold my stem up. So to make my tree, I used both of these methods. I glued on leaves and I also wired them into the little bare spots on the trunks as well. You could do both or one, and depending on what you want for your home, you could obviously adjust the size too. You don't need a 12 or 14 foot tree. If you wanted to do a little 6 footer, 8 footer, you would probably need a lot less leaves, and it would look great, I'm sure. So the options are really endless with these trees. I am so glad that I learned how to do this because I don't think I will ever buy a faux tree again. These look so good and they look so real. I don't think I've ever seen a faux tree look this real before. I am so impressed. We did keep my winter tree with the lights wrapped around it. It is actually out in our garage and I am waiting to put that one up again. when it becomes winter. But I feel like the leaves are a good way to kind of welcome spring. I hope that you guys found this video useful in any way. If it did, give us a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a comment below. What tree would you guys like to make? I would love to hear. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.